school.
What is wrong with this?
All my friends wear this.
There's nothing wrong with the length of this.
There's clearly a reason for this unfair treatment.
You know that's got this problem is jealous, because if you had legs like that, you'd show it.
Is that where it starts? This girl was sent home from school because she was wearing that a la Britney Spears, "Hit Me Baby One More Time." I'm old enough to remember that. And the mother's standing there saying, if you had legs like that, you'd show them off. And she's mad because her daughter can't express herself. Is this girl in the inappropriate outfit the granddaughter or great-granddaughter of women who are burning their bras and celebrating their newfound sexual liberation? I think so. I think it has permeated 3-4 generations of women. And this is what it looks like with the young ones. The older ones are getting divorced. And this whole divide between men and women seems to be rooted in the thing that's supposed to bring them together and create families, children, etc. And that is sex. Body count has become such a point of contention because women kind of view it as empowerment, expressing themselves, individuality. And men have a completely different view. Today, we're going to explore how different those two views are and ask the question, is there any resolution, or is this the thing that's going to drive Western society completely into the ground? Welcome back to Far From Eden. So once again, Homath comes to the rescue to explain this. And I think, you don't have to explain it to the men, they already know. But I watched this video and I had no idea that this is the way men compartmentalize this. I know purity is important to them. I know that they prefer a low body count, but I never understood all that goes into that calculation. So I'm going to explain to you what women disagree with this video and what they really don't understand, because I don't think they do at all. They don't want to, because they want to do what they want to do. And so they're just going to say that you're a misogynist and you're judgmental and you're, you're insecure. You just can't handle a strong, empowered woman. Yeah, that's not it. That's not it at all.
Body count is only one part of purity, which is what we're really looking for, not just a number. Some women don't like to hear this.
You guys are really insecure about everything about...
You bet. Absolutely.
In other words, the man is the problem. Man bad. Everything happens to women from the outside, but everything happens because of men. And you can say that if you want, but it doesn't change how we feel. It's not going to move you from here to here. It's just going to make us lie. Oh, I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet. I'm sure you've heard it before. And also, we don't believe you. We know you know this matters.
Actually, they know it matters to you, but they don't think it actually should. They really do believe that you're just insecure. They believe that. It's not just a deflection. It is a deflection. It's not just a deflection, but they really don't get it. Because this is the thing with women. If we don't want something to be true, we will do the mental gymnastics necessary to make it not true. Remember George Costanza in Seinfeld saying, remember, it's not a lie if you believe it. And it is man bad, because it's always man bad. It doesn't have to even be about this. And what he just said about, men will say, I don't really know what I want or where it's going. That's men saying that, but at the same time, and they'll never admit this in a million years, but many women are trying to sleep their way into a relationship, which is interesting considering women claim that they can do that deed without having any feelings, just let it go. But at the same time, they think that if they're sleeping with you and doing that sort of thing, that it's going to attach them to you. Why do they think like that? Because even though they won't admit it, that's how they think. They give themselves away if you pay close enough attention. Because it isn't true that they can just detach. That's trauma. And that's where they start having this hatred for men. Because they look at the men and they go, look at this. They lie, this, that, and the other. But both are being manipulative. Both. So let's continue on with the genius that is Homer.
Took a girl on a picnic date to a big hill with a great view, and it turned out she went there all the time, but she pretended she'd never seen it before to make me feel like I was showing her something new.
Why would she do that? Because she knows if she plays the role of, wow, this is so thoughtful, how beautiful, and seems like it's novel, she knows that will give him the feels, right? That will endear him to her because he will feel like, oh, I did a good job. She appreciates me. She's faking the appreciation right there, just fakery already to manipulate you, to get something from you.
That's signaling purity. Of course, it was a lie, but it was a nice thought. Purity means basically the opposite of this. I drew this girl to look spoiled and entitled and unappreciative, just like, I've seen it, do better. I don't know if this story is true, but
that'll be after you get married or after you make the commitment. Then it'll be whatever, right? But beforehand, it's like, wow. It all depends on what they're getting. Oh, great. I didn't realize I paused on this. Oh, but you guys are the ones sexualizing them. How dare you? You're misogynist. You're just staring at things. They're shoving it in your face. Why? Because that's the carrot. That's the lure to the trap.
if it is, it's a great example of why we desire purity, because if you don't have it, you might do this. So that's what this part of the chart means. Here's why it's not just bodies. Imagine that I'm shopping for a used car, and I find one that is in great condition, and I find another one that is in, okay condition. Now, I don't really care if this one had 10 previous owners. It doesn't change what matters. Now, imagine that the car has feelings and it says things like, that's not the way my last owner drove me. Michael bought me better tires. I don't want this car anymore. I'll take that one. That is.
And he'll never know if that's what's in her mind. Because even if she's not saying it, like not admitting that the picnic was something she'd done before, she's going to play that role for as long as it's advantageous to her. So even if she doesn't say it, the man has to think in his mind, I can't trust any of this. She's already been there, done that, right? So none of this is new. And I didn't realize that this goes all the way to like the picnic, that is a symbol of purity to have never been there before, right? It never occurred to me how much it's important for the man to, have new, fresh experiences with you. It blew my mind, but it makes total sense.
Is what we're judging. Purity is, how many problems do you come with? I need to know that about you, because the more problems you have, the more likely you are to take my entire house. I believe the odds are 60-30 for a first marriage. We don't need to make that any worse. Now, everybody knows that more bodies equals a greater risk of divorce.
They lie about that. Women lie about that all the time. They want to say it's not true. They'll gaslight everyone about that. And again, say it's your insecurity. It's somehow your fault. Everything is always somehow your fault. That's why you shouldn't get married. Because even if it's not your fault right now, you can change your mind and realize it was always your fault.
and that body count has been going up for a while. But for some reason, the worst number of bodies is 2, so it's not that simple.
So my body count is 1,572.
Okay, sometimes it's simple. Think of it like gambling. You put down $1 to win 2, and the odds are 51-49 in favor of the house. Now, what if the odds were 90-10? No one would play that game. Now, what are the odds she's going to stop at? 1,573. I don't know, but I wouldn't bet my house.
Men are really good at recognizing patterns. It's not as strong with women. That's a little different than how we think. We go, well, what does it matter? Like, that's my past. And men are like, yeah, but that's you. That's you in your past. Why would I think this pattern that's been going on, it's well established, why would I think it would change? And what I'd love to say to the women, because I like his car analogy, but again, that's for men. I don't think that most women connect with that. What I would want to tell women is, because women love real estate. Would you rather have a house, a brand new house? Everything's new in there. It's never had an owner before. You would be the first people to live there. Everything's brand new. Or would you rather have the house down the road that's had many different owners and many different families, and there's like lines on the wall where kids have grown up, and you're like, all these other families have been here. I can't really see myself making this my home. It's already been the home for so many different people. I'd rather have the fresh and clean house. Yeah, that's how men think. Or a pair of shoes. Would you rather, ladies, buy a brand new pair of shoes that nobody's even tried on, right? They go and get them from the back. They don't give you, when you buy shoes, they don't give you the shoes that everybody's tried on because ew, right? You're not going to go and buy shoes, at least for the same amount, that are used and worn. There's some scuff marks. Did somebody have fungus? Ew, we don't know. But these ones over here are brand new. No one's even, except for the people that made them, put them in the box. No one's even touched them. Which ones would they rather have? Now, women would be like, yeah, but we're not shoes. Yeah, but we're not the house. Okay. How would you feel if you didn't have breakfast this morning? You need to ask that question of the women, because if they're like, but I did eat breakfast, then no. It's just, they're not going to be bright enough to understand any of this.
Here again is the formula: body count times body type over configuration plus soul count plus body production plus body damage times multipliers. This can make the whole thing 0 if you find the right guy.
So you're not romantically, but sexually you do see other people?
Yes, sexually.
And you will sleep with them together?
Yes, and I will marry Sophia one day.
So you can find a guy who doesn't care about body count if you want to be this happy.
And if you want that guy, sure, you can find a degenerate. What kind of husband is that going to be? What kind of family is that? It's not, because what is it even based on? I don't even believe him. And yeah, she looks thrilled with it. Never going to happen. But like Homath pointed out a little earlier in this, they say, one day, la la la.
Let's go over the factors. First, there's body count. That one's simple. That's just the raw number of people who got there first. And as you can see, as that number goes up, marriage quality goes down with some creativity. And that's where the rest of this comes in. Body type is, who were they? There's all kinds of people in this big world of ours, and we want to know, were they ugly, attractive, short, tall, rich, poor? Were they certain type? Were they high status, low status? Were they from a certain place? There's lots of details that make each body matter more.
I think it's because the men want to know who she might be comparing him to. And I think that is why it's so bad. That's a big reason why it's so bad for women, because we're just going to naturally compare. We just are. It's just something that our brains are going to do. And that is so detrimental, so detrimental. And it's a big reason why, they get to be friends with their exes from high school. Those old flames rekindle, and he still won't take out the trash and pick up his socks. And now she's reconnecting with that guy who may have been her first. So is she still attached to that guy? Is she sorry that she broke up with him so she could experience, the college experience and the party life and the carousel? And invest in herself and find out who she is and all that baloney? Is she just looking for a wallet now? Is she alpha widowed? The higher body count just leads to all these questions, and it's completely valid for the men to have them and for them to consider, cost benefit ratio. That's one thing women do not understand about how men think. Everything is cost benefit ratio constantly. It's just natural. And women don't generally do that. We just think very differently. So we're just going to shame the men. This is not rooted in hatred at all. Not at all. It's actually very sweet. It's very sweet. And it actually shows, what does it say when there's one gender who really values purity and another gender who says, no, that's judgmental. I need to express myself. What does that say about who's more moral or who's good or bad? You can't say man bad. Notice when they say that, they don't really come up with any real facts. They're just smears. That's all it is. Because at the end of the day, I think they know. I think they know inside that they're choosing wrong. And I think deep down, a lot of them come to regret it. They really do. You see that. And you see that in, the rates of alcoholism and all the bad things that happen to women who have been in that sort of line of work or even acted in their social life as if they're in that line of work. Because how different is it when you are getting, expensive dinners and trips and things like that, and you're putting out? How is that not working in that industry just without that name? And if women want to say it doesn't traumatize them, they're lying. You can see it. You can see it. And one of the ways that trauma manifests is in a strong dislike of men.
More or less. For example, I dated a girl who kissed girls in front of me and I felt nothing. I was like, am I supposed to be mad? On the other hand, I also dated somebody who revealed to me that she had hung out with somebody in particular, and that was intolerable. Configuration is, what were the circumstances? Like, were you being the table? That might be extra bodies. Did you ever have a sugar daddy? That's usually extra bodies. Were you
That's what I didn't know. That certain experiences or things she has done equal a number of bodies. So it may be one sugar daddy, but the fact that she did that equals more because of the severity of that action and what it means about her character. I'm impressed that in the society that becomes more and more secular, that character and the importance of it is rising to the top. We always talk about on this channel how truth is stronger. And this is true. It matters. Now, many of us know it matters because this is, God's order of things, God's perfect order. And this is a violation of that. And even if these men don't believe, they at least are realizing what's true. And that's a big step. And they're finally saying it. They're finally saying, I don't think this is okay. The generations before you guys, the young ones that are in their 20s and early 30s, they were just told to just get along with it. Stop being insecure. Keep it inside. Man up. And you know what? They're tired of it. The younger generations are like, why? And even the older generations that have done that for years, they're like, why should I do that? Why do I have to? I'm sick and tired of being accused of being the bad guy. And that whatever I think and feel is invalid and a reflection of my poor character. When in reality, it's the men showing the good character by saying purity matters.
Cheating. Bodies. Was he cheating? Bodies. Did you know the girl he was cheating on? Loads of bodies. Soul count is less of a number and more of what percentage of you is devoted to other people. So if I'm getting to know you and you're 28 and you have had 3 ex-boyfriends, that is a low body count. But if one of them is getting out of jail and coming to see you, that is a very high body count.
That is fascinating. That's fascinating to me. But again, it makes perfect sense. I'm learning more and more about the way men think and the way they weigh things up. And I love what Homath is saying about soul. I don't know if he means it literally, but I do. And so I want to say is, so what you're saying is the more degeneracy she has involved herself in, the more it erodes her soul. Yeah.
Maybe you've heard the term alpha widow. This is from a story where she turned down his proposal twice because she was waiting for this guy. That's worth like 40 bodies. So again, it's not just the number of bodies. You lose points for threatening bodies and for low quality bodies, as well as the arrangement of bodies and the availability of the person living inside your body. Now, body production, that means less purity for every child. But what you really don't want is a low quality child. I made a cube. I like cubes. I have tools this time. So I call this the he already has a father cube because that's what all the single moms say. What we are looking at is the cost, the quality, and the number of your children.
Okay. Sometimes they'll say he already has a father. If they want you to think, don't worry about it. It's not going to be your responsibility, because they think that might be something you're concerned about, that might be holding you back. Or, and this is the same exact woman, she might say, you would make such a good dad. I wish you were his dad. You're so good with him. And you encourage the child to start calling you dad or some variation of that. You encourage that relationship, because if the man has the heart that he wants to be a father and he wants to be looked at that way, she will prey upon that. She will prey upon that and use her child as bait to lure you into the whole idea of family. Maybe he's been alone for a while. Maybe he's desperately wanted this. Never thought he'd have it. So she'll use that. Now, you guys aren't falling for that as much anymore. But I wanted to point that out, that they'll go one way or the other with the same child, depending on what they need to convince that man of to get him down the aisle. You know, for security.
So, for example, when I was 27, I dated a 35-year-old woman with a 16-year-old kid, and he was like good at math and had friends and stuff, and I didn't have to take care of him. He was almost done, and that was in this area. Not a big problem, barely bothered me at all. On the other hand, when I was 34, I dated a 27-year-old girl, and then she went away and texted after a year with a brand new baby, and that is very high cost. That's 18 birthdays, and if I'm not careful, college. And also I said, is it mine? And she said no, and that's bad configuration.
That's a total veto. I mean, the nerve, like you're going to go away for a year, you're going to get impregnated, and they're going to come back. That's what they do. They go away and have an oops with a fun guy or whatever, or somebody that they're in a situationship and trying to get him to walk down the aisle, and they can't. So they're going to come back to old trusty and be like, oh my God, I have this kid. And it's in us, it's biological. We're like, oh my gosh, I'm vulnerable. Even if we're not thinking it consciously. Like, I have this young one, I'm vulnerable. I need security. I need protection. I need provision. That is like a biological thing that women think, because, you know, back before all this civilization, and we were, you know, in the woods and on the plains and all of that. So yeah, she's running back to old Trusty so he can be the, beta dad. That's what they do. And they're going to cry and, oh my God, forgive me, blah, blah, blah. And I was taken advantage of. It's not my fault. So that will kick in his need to rescue her. Now, whether you think that's a social construct where men think that they need to rescue a woman, or if that's an inherent thing of protecting those who need to be protected, it doesn't really matter because it's there and it happens, and women will completely take advantage of it.
First of all. And also, if your kid makes decisions like you, not looking great for this variable. So obviously this can be difficult to calculate. So as a shortcut, you can just go with 20 bodies minus the child's age. So if you had, for example, a 14-year-old and a 2-year-old, that would be 24 bodies. I'm sorry, you've been declined. Body damage, that would be habits, drugs, history, daddy issues, that sort of thing. Tattoos are about 1 body per 10 square inches, unless they're vulgar, and that's 1 body per square inch.
Women have no idea about that. They have no idea. No idea what men think when they see the belly ring. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's for him to look up at. I didn't know that. I don't have a belly ring. I'd never get one. But I just thought they were getting them because they were cute, because I am sheltered. I have always been sheltered. But I heard from men that that's immediately what they think. Same thing with the tramp stamp. They look at that and they're like, that's vulgar. And I don't think women ever thought that men would think something is vulgar in that way. They have been raised to think that men are just hound dogs. And so when he said earlier that his girlfriend would kiss other girls in front of him, that was to entice him. That's what it was for. I am sure of it. And once again, they'll never admit it for a million years and be like, no, I'm attractive. No, you're not. This is a show. This is a show to try to lure him in some way. They will use their sexuality to do it. How's it working out for us, ladies? It's not.
The way you live matters. I wouldn't want to tell my mom about this. Age is a form of damage. That's wear and tear. Here's the equation. Nobody cares. Age adds 0 bodies until 28 and then approaches infinity as you approach 45.
That is something that women are in denial of. You see it on the Whatever podcast all the time. I'm going to be prettier when I'm 45 because my mom is. Yeah, prettier to who? Yourself? Okay. Your cat? They don't care. Well, they say they don't care if men find them pretty or whatever as they age. If they don't care, why do they get so angry about it? Why do they shame it and say, oh, you shouldn't think a 20-year-old is attractive? They're basically a kid. Yeah, that's a psyop to get women to think that they're not fully grown until they're in their 30s. It's like, lady, your egg carton's pretty much empty by then. And if a man points it out, there's something wrong with him. It's just true. It's just true. But when you're, when you want to be naughty, truth is something you really hate. And that's why they have to shame men about it.
Basically, if I'm beginning a relationship with a 45-year-old woman, who cares what you used to do? Which brings us to multipliers. That's the who cares part. And the answer is that's not really your business, is it? Everybody cares about each one of these things a different amount. And you wanted the honest answer.
So I need the honest answer.
And the honest answer is, this is how we feel when these things don't look good. And that might limit your options. And if you do go a little too far and then you find a guy you like anyway, he might think of you as for now and not forever and never tell you. And then you'll look like this in your 30s. And here's the most important part. Are you ready? If you try to argue with any of this, if you say, my past doesn't matter, we know that means it's not good.
Yeah. I love that women will say to a man, my past doesn't matter. It matters to him. You don't get to decide what matters to him. Isn't that crazy? We try to decide what you guys should care about, what your priorities should be, what you should find attractive. Can you imagine that the other way around? It's so lopsided. The dating is, I don't think any of it was ever traditional. I think it was always a path to degeneracy. It kind of started in the mid 20th centuries-ish. Before that, dating wasn't a thing. There wasn't this, you take a girl out, you're alone, you pay for dinner, she may or may not, you know, give you a little nookie, but it made her in charge of how far you would go because she's the gatekeeper. Before that, society was more of a gatekeeper. Shame was more of a gatekeeper. You had a father who was a gatekeeper. You were raised to value purity, which was a gatekeeper. And so you didn't open the gate. The gate is open and they're running loose. And that's not a good thing. I come from an equestrian background, you know, horses. Yes, crazy horse girl. You don't let these horses just run free and run amok. Bad things will happen. And that's what's going on. The gate is open. They're running wild. And it's destructive. And it's bringing all of society down. Isn't that interesting? That something that is very contradictory to how God said we should do things could be so destructive. But it shouldn't be a shock because this is the thing that literally creates a new life. How can there be anything more powerful than that? And all we've done in the last, I don't know, 70 years is try to find ways to get rid of the consequences, even calling a baby a consequence, and changing the way we think about all of this. This is the reason that dating is messed up, marriage is messed up, families are messed up, the population is declining, men are walking away, depression, alcoholism. I think that this is more powerful, sex is more powerful than any of us ever realized. But like I said, it literally creates a new person. We are so we don't even think about that, but that's huge. So having this interaction with many different men, of course it's damaging. Anytime we step out of what we should be doing, it's damaging. Divorce is damaging. Dating is damaging. I think because what is dating? It's going out with somebody, breaking up, going and breaking, going and breaking. It's getting rid of that attachment, not forming it in the first place, ripping it apart. From the time you're, 12 years old and you have your first crush and you have your little oh, he's my little boyfriend. You're right. I love so-and-so. I don't think they do that anymore, but it's a complete breakdown of society. And it makes sense because men and women coming together in a healthy way, creating families is the complete bedrock of Western society. So it has broken down all of the values, morals, and it's taken away shame. And I'm so glad the men are standing up against it. And I'm glad they're walking away because it's the only thing that has a hope of getting some women to change. They all won't, but we could have pockets of, small communities that start to turn it around. And certainly men can learn about it so they don't get, lured into some financial trap. And even worse, create children, have them ripped away.
That's automatically minus points. My past doesn't matter because if you knew it, you wouldn't like me. So the more of this you sacrifice, the more of a risk we are taking with you, and the less we trust you, and nobody punishes us for lying about how much we like you anymore. So the honest answer?
What's high?
Whatever scares off the guy that you really want.
That's in today's world, the fact that it's what he decides. He, why? Why does he get to decide? Because he does. Because he gets to choose what's right for him and what he wants and what he finds attractive and what he finds vulgar. Men haven't been allowed to say that. When the, sexual revolution was going on and women were burning their bras, men were just supposed to just shut up and take it, shut up and take it, celebrate with them. All the degenerate ones did. Because, hey, free love, right? Free love means the end of love.
So here's my little announcement. It's
All right. So I will leave that video link in the description. So that's part 1. The man's view of big number. What it means, how he calculates it, and how women react to it a little bit. What's shocking, what they don't understand. In part 2, we're going to delve into what the women say. What the women say. Are they pushing back? Are some of them getting it? Or what are some of the ways they deflect it, explain it, shame it? You'll be surprised. You really would. Oh my gosh. So that'll be on part 2. Thank you guys for tuning in. That's an old phrase. I can age myself. I appreciate you. I hope you have a good rest of your night. Remember to protect your peace, feed your soul, and I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.